see. Go live. You ever wake up some days and you're like, what would be the worst thing that happened to me? And you looked in the mirror and you thought, well, that's kind of odd. I've become a taco. Wouldn't that just be your worst nightmare? It came true for Winston today on Halloween. Happy Halloween, everyone. I know, cheesy, really bad. I know. He just wanted to say hi. He's a little scared. He's genuinely scared, and I don't know. It's usually because he's not here and I'm holding him, but I'm pretty sure it's just because it's Halloween and he's become a taco. But he's mortified. And we have one more guest on the show who wants to say hi to you guys. All right, okay, all right. And that is Wallace, because he kept wishing to genies that he could be a hot dog, that he would be sexy, and he got granted his wish. Although he's a little bit happier about wearing his outfit for sure. Hi, Wallace. You want to say hi to everybody? Say hi to everybody? Welcome, everybody, and happy Halloween. I had them dressed up because the only outfit I really have is a Spider-Man mask, and my eyelashes are too long, and it presses against my eyelashes. I figured if I wore it, then I would just have like really red eyes and eyelashes in my eyeballs while I did this video. So we had them dress up instead, covered in hair. But welcome, everybody. Happy Halloween. I hope you're having a really nice day. If you are celebrating, I hope that you get more treats than tricks, and that is exactly what crypto brings us this week. It's going to be Fed week, as we know. So I am expecting volatility. I'm not too surprised that prices aren't going up. I think we're waiting to see what Fed Chairman Jerome Powell says on Wednesday. But I am seeing that there just seems to be less volatility every single time that these meetings happen. So I'm not expecting a huge plunge, although some are, again, just waiting for a bloodbath, right? And I'm not necessarily waiting for a pump either, although I do feel like after that meeting happens, we could be set up for more of a bullish atmosphere until the next one in December. And I outlined recently some of those reasons why. Thanks, Renee. I'm glad you find them hot. What's going on, everybody? Eric, Azam, Soda, what's going on? Kevin Hawthorne, thank you for the email. Sean Simpson, what does everybody dress up for your birthday? I guess we do it for you, Sean. We do it for you. So let's take a look at what's going on with the prices. I don't want to take forever on this video, and we got a bit to get through. So here, as we get ready to go into the news, let's take a look at the prices. Bitcoin, $20,496, down 0.9%. Ethereum, $1,573, down 1.3%. Pretty much crab market today, not too much. Still over $1 trillion for cryptos here. Gas prices for Ethereum looking quite sexy. I found this article on Cointelegraph. Cointelegraph is hinting that Ethereum is flashing a classic bullish pattern in its Bitcoin pair. So ETH/BTC is showing what, according to veteran Tom Bulkowski, is noting as a 61% profit. Basically, every time this flashes, it's about 61% chance that it's going to in fact happen. So it basically is a cup and handle pattern that we're looking at, that it appears to be forming here for Ethereum versus Bitcoin. That could take it up about 50% in the near term, according to Cointelegraph. So that's a look at the crystal ball for the day. And it has a resistance level, however, that is quite critical. If it might have a bit of a struggle breaking over the 0.07 Bitcoin to 0.08 Bitcoin range that has proven to be strong resistance since May 2021. But if it does break above that, I think it would set a new trend, and maybe it would be a send it situation for Ether. That would be nice to see, as it would climb quite higher again, maybe even 50% before the end of the year into 2023. So that would be pretty dope. Anyway, today is a celebration because 14 years ago, Satoshi Nakamoto first published the Bitcoin white paper, so everyone is sharing it and talking about it. Let's take a look at the abstract. So yeah, this came out in October 31st, Halloween of 2008, a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash. The title, Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Let's do it properly here. Abstract, a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash that would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. Digital signatures provide part of the solution, but the main benefits are lost if a trusted third party is still required to prevent double spending. We propose a solution to the double spending problem using a peer-to-peer network. The network timestamps transactions by hashing them into an ongoing chain of hash-based proof of work, which originally came out of Hashcash, forming a record that cannot be changed without redoing the proof of work. The longest chain not only serves as proof of the sequence of events witnessed, but proof that it came from the largest pool of CPU power. As long as a majority of CPU power is controlled by nodes that are not cooperating to attack the network, they'll generate the longest chain and outpace attackers. The network itself requires minimal structure. Messages are broadcast on a best effort basis, and nodes can leave and rejoin the network at will, accepting the longest proof of work chain as proof of what happened while they were gone. So this has been quite a paper throughout the years. It was originally part of a cypherpunk mailing group of cryptographers that would be receiving it. That's where this originally went out. It launched a little while later, a few months later, on January 3rd, 2009 for the first time. And I remember some of the drama that's gone out throughout the years, included recently a shift from some of the maxis, the Bitcoin maxis, who tried to remove the section that said electronic cash system. Obviously, the Bitcoin Cash people stood against that. And for now, I mean, it's even been a situation where Craig Wright had tried to sue people who hosted the original Bitcoin white paper, claiming to be Satoshi himself, and people were putting it up on their own websites to stand in solidarity against Craig Wright, who's trying to bully the entire space. This paper has been quite the thing for drama, and we got another bit of drama that's been added related to Craig Wright today and this paper itself, fist bump. Oh yeah, the likes would be super helpful. So if you enjoy the content, please hit that like button. Just a reminder. I know many of you guys already do that, and thank you so much for that. So Edward Snowden had tweeted out the Bitcoin white paper, which was put on this beautiful one pager right here, including references. And it became a little bit of drama after Edward Snowden posted 14 years ago today, yet Satoshi remains anonymous. Remarkable. Dr. Craig S. Wright did respond. I was never anonymous, calling Edward Snowden a traitor, as he has been labeled by the US government. I was never anonymous, you traitorous scum. Wow, out of nowhere, just, ooh, just get Snowden, right? What an insult, man. He basically is saying that Edward Snowden is a traitor for having exposed how our government was spying on us, and we had no idea about that, even though we're supposed to have the right to privacy. So apparently that makes him a traitor, just like the government has labeled him. That's the side Craig Wright stands on. But anyway, Edward Snowden seems to have gotten a little bit upset when he got that message. He wrote back, "That's the point, brother. Remember 2 weeks ago when the court affirmed that Hodlonaut calling you a pathetic scammer, cringe, clearly mentally ill, and repeatedly a fraud was a-okay, and ordered you to pay like $348,257? Welcome to law," citing the case in Norway where Hodlonaut did defeat Craig Wright, where Craig Wright saying that he was being libeled and slandered by Hodlonaut. So very interesting. And continuing on forward, Edward Snowden wrote, "And hey, while we're playing the memory game, the next time you want to tell Twitter you were never anonymous, as Craig Wright just said, right? He wrote, I was never anonymous, you traitor scum. So the next time you want to tell Twitter that you were never anonymous, try and keep your story straight, you miserable corn cob." Wow, that I've never heard anyone called a corn cob, but that one hits in a special place. So he pointed this out, this note here, which looked at a website that was created by Craig Wright a while ago. Wright's note so the note we'll look at right now. Wright's note on a stark white background is all that's left of the website he made public on Monday, which was filled with images of himself, looking thoughtful. Along with several Bitcoin-related blog posts, it reads in full, "I'm sorry. I believed that I could do this. I believed that I could put the years of anonymity and hiding behind me. But as the events of this week unfolded, and I prepared to publish the proof of access to the earliest keys, I broke. I do not have the courage. I cannot." So he said that he had years of anonymity and hiding. Wrote right there on a website he created. So obviously it just makes sense what Edward Snowden wrote here. Dude can't even commit fraud properly. Just embarrassing. Tagging Hodlonaut, Lob, Zach XBT. So fun drama. There have been quite a few situations recently where Craig Wright has been called out for not even keeping his story straight. So this is just the latest one. Wish to share it with you on this beautiful celebration. Thank you so much, Ronnie. I'm happy to be back with you, man. And let's continue on here. One of the biggest dramas that played out over this weekend, there was this whole question of, is Elon going to be good for Twitter or not now that he's taken over? So the first thing he's rolled out basically at scale is plans that have to be launched by a deadline of November 7th, whereby if basically developers at Twitter do not get this launched by November 7th, a charging of $20 per month to get a blue check mark, they will be fired by Elon Musk. So this is going to be a change to Twitter Blue. So the company has been charging $5 a month for some advanced features. Not advanced features, some extra features that give you, I don't even know, some nonsense here. It gives you ad-free articles from some publishers, and it makes some other tweaks to the app according to The Verge, such as a different color home screen icon. So basically, if you sign up for Twitter Blue now, it's going to cost you $19.99 a month. And that is the only way that you can get verified and get that blue check mark, which has been originally put in place on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as a way to let people know, hey, this is the real account in an age where there are more bots and more spam accounts than you can possibly count. I know I suffered a lot through Instagram constantly with that. and never got verified. But it would have been helpful if people saw the check mark next to my name. They would know, oh, that's the real Cryptos News. That's the real account, right? So that was the point with these Twitter blue check marks, is that people would know that is a legitimate account. It does not stop bots from creating more accounts that pretend to be you, but in the event that you find a bot, it just makes it easier for the platforms such as Twitter to verify, oh, you have the blue check mark already because we already verified you. Oh, okay, perfect. So we know that you are being truthful when you're saying that these other accounts that are impersonating you are not in fact you, and you have the real check mark. That's the whole point. The whole point is basically to protect people from scammers, the blue check mark. Now it's strange because it's being monetized. Very odd. I know Twitter has been a place that has been notoriously difficult to get the blue check mark, and I think Elon Musk has decided to monetize that basically. Apparently he has plans. I had read at the bottom of this article, I don't know if it's true or not, I haven't found an actual source from Elon Musk himself, that he wants it to be 50% ad revenue on Twitter and 50% subscription revenue. So he really wants to pump up those numbers. But this is not really being appreciated by a lot of the community, because basically if you already have the blue check mark, it's going to start a timer basically when this launches, where you have 90 days to sign up for Twitter Blue and get pay $20 a month, or you will be losing your blue check mark. So this has erupted in all sorts of drama. I'm not going to go through it. Just wanted to bring it up right now. I thought it was funny. A lot of people are planning to abandon their blue check marks if they even have them. I'm most curious to hear from those who have their blue check marks already. It's of course going to create a situation whereby maybe even the algorithm already favors users, tweets who have a check mark, right? So if you already are verified, then we don't really know, but it could be likely already that you are already getting bumped up over everybody else. How is this going to change that? How is this possibly going to gamify that? Is it going to be a situation whereby, for example, you don't have your account verified, and maybe you're some sort of public figure in crypto or otherwise, you could have a scammer get the blue check mark for you? Because I think a company would have an incentive to give the check mark, or be a little bit more lax on verification of a paying customer, right? This is really going to change things quite a bit. And what about these large publications like the New York Times, who are having their their journalists verified, as written by Runa Sandvik here? If the New York Times wanted to verify its 1,700 journalists on this site, it would pay around $400,000 a year. Something tells me media organizations have better things to spend money on than blue check marks. So I think a lot of people could be losing their blue check marks over time, especially journalists who just might not want to pony up that money themselves. And it could be the case for even celebrities to give up, like Stephen King, their check marks voluntarily as well, or to leave the platform altogether, right? $20 a month, says Stephen King, writer, to keep my blue check. F that, they should pay me. If that gets instituted, I'm gone like Enron, basically implying he would completely leave the platform. Wow, not just like let it go the way of the birds, but completely leave the platform. Anyway, what is this? Cernovich wrote, I'll pay you $20 a month not to tweet. Wow, somebody really is not a Stephen King fan. I love Stephen King. I used to read as many of his books growing up as I could. I don't know. He pumps them out like crazy, but I don't know. Like my favorite was probably Tommy Knockers. I love Tommy Knockers. I guess it's worth talking about some horror books since it is Halloween. I don't know. What is your favorite horror book? Let us know in the comments if you found something super interesting. The last one I read was House of Leaves, which a fascinating read, House of Leaves. If a little bit difficult because you have to turn the book upside down sometimes to read certain pages. But super cool. I don't know how you'd make a movie out of that book, but definitely worth a look at. It became very famous with fringe people before kind of blowing up in that world. But House of Leaves, if you're looking for an interesting book to read. Anyway, this was making the rounds all over the cryptocurrency subreddit. I found it on Twitter, and basically it's looking at this paper here saying, according to this research, 97.7% of the tokens launched on Uniswap were rug pulls. And it looks at this paper, again, by Bruno Mazzora of University of Pompeii, and also written by Vanessa Daza of University of Pompeu, and Victor Adan of University of Barcelona. And this actually came out a while ago. I don't know why it's being brought up so much right now. I think people were trying to shame originally, like, Uniswap. I don't know what the play was here, but this came out on January 20th of this year, 2022. I guess it didn't get a lot of coverage back then. It's titled, "Do Not Rug on Me, Zero-Dimensional Scam Detection." So, in fact, yeah, they did use methods to try to figure out what were potentially rug pulls or really malicious tokens on Uniswap. And they did say that this would be completely different if, for example, you tried to use the same methods for PancakeSwap or for QuickSwap or things on other blockchains and Ethereum, really anything other than Uniswap. It just would not work. But they were able to, on Uniswap, and this is looking just through September of 2021. So this is not current. But it found that out of 27,588 labeled tokens, 631 of them were labeled as non-malicious, and 26,957, so over 97.71% of the tokens were labeled as malicious. They were different forms of rug pulls. For example, pulling liquidity using a function. For example, the founders of the token listing tokens and holding on to a majority of them and then just dumping them. All sorts of different ways that they were basically pulling this off. It talks about ways that you could figure out what tokens were more likely to be legitimate and so on. I think that is pretty helpful. And this section right here you might find valuable because apparently people were using Unicrypt. It was really talked about and marketed as a way to prevent these rug pulls. And check out this section. As explained in section 3.3, Unicrypt is a protocol that runs on top of the Uniswap protocol with the purpose of being a partial solution to rug pulls, which generally result in people's funds going to zero, right? Whatever you bought basically goes to zero, because if you pull the liquidity out, and if you pull the liquidity of ETH, for example, out, if you're trading like ETH versus whatever this scam token is, and you pull the ETH out, that token has really no value at all. Usually, especially if it's a rug pull without that ETH as an LP token. Anyway, in this work, we have empirically demonstrated that most of the tokens that use Unicrypt are malicious. First, from our list of labeled tokens, 745 use Unicrypt. 725 of those are malicious, and only 20 are non-malicious. So, like, that is not a good way to know whether something that it's supposed to lock tokens by some sort of method, and it's just not a way to be sure whether something is a rug pull or not. But yeah, there continue to be rug pulls, of course, and I think for the most part, people who are getting into rug pulls are very well aware that these are kind of scammy and shady tokens. At least I would hope so. They're just hoping to get a quick buck or get in before others get in, and then inevitably the rug pull happens. I think that is a lot of what being a degenerate was back in the summer of DeFi, was being people aware, okay, that platform's not audited at all, looks pretty shady, the team isn't anonymous, but we see that the volumes, it just came out 2 days ago, but we see that the volumes are climbing, and it might be good to get on board before others and get out. But of course, most people do not get out, and that's how the floor gets swept out. And really, you have the founders in these cases just running away with a lot of the money, and usually not the best way to go about things. But yeah, crypto going crypto. Also, Coinbase is sending out this email today. I got one myself. You're now earning 1.5% APY on your USDC. Previously, you were only able to earn 0.15% on Coinbase. Coinbase was going to be launching this Earn program where they were going to basically create their own decentralized finance application or work with other DeFi applications and try to get you a bigger yield. Maybe it's a good thing that it never happened. I don't know. Maybe they would have gotten into Luna Terra and would have missed out, but the regulators were not big fans of Coinbase doing that. There was pushback, and Coinbase settled for a while on 0.15%, basically being the highest you could earn on your stables. That does seem to be going up. It's not a massive amount, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. But 1.15% is basically nothing. It's still not beating out inflation of 8% plus. You're still losing out over a year. Thanks regulators for helping us out here. Either way, anyway, I decided to look at what my APY would be on my savings account here in California with Bank of America, and it's really a joke. This is going to be effective today, it says here, and my APY in my savings account would be 0.01%. Massive. So I would much rather be able to earn 1.5% from a pretty safe platform, right? And a safer stable coin, rather than if I'm going to be holding less than 2,500 or even 2,500, earning 0.01% for keeping my capital parked at a bank. And that bank is going to be earning a lot more with your money and being able to do all the different things that they can do with the capital that they have parked at the bank, whether it's involving themselves in different bond games or lending out to new customers. They're happy to take your money, but not happy to share anything with you at all. Scam. Modern banking, a real scam here. Yeah, they're partnered with Circle. They do have quite a bit of liquidity for sure. USDC is one of the more trusted ones, if not surveilled ones. So I think it's just a matter of whether you care about privacy or not, blacklists or not. That's the only thing. But otherwise, I would say it's definitely one of the more reputable ones and safer ones to be keeping there. So OpenSea volumes have declined. This was written by CryptoRank platform, looking at how NFT volumes have fallen off of a cliff, at least when we're talking about OpenSea, which has been the biggest marketplace for NFTs. So they use Dune Analytics as a data source, and they noted that back in January of 2022, we had volumes of about $4.86 billion there on OpenSea. And here in October, we're only seeing volumes of $303 million. So this is a drop off of over 94%. So if you were waiting for a bottom, we haven't necessarily seen it yet with NFTs, because even from last month, we're dropping 13%. So we have yet to really bottom out here with NFTs, and I don't know when that will be the case. But if you were waiting for that, you're probably going to have to wait a little bit longer. Another example of that is if you're looking at the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs, the price floor has continued to drop from a high of, what is this, 144.9 on, I can't get it, April 30th. On April 30th, we had 144.9 ETH that were being traded there. As the floor price for these apes, and the floor price today looks like it's 66.6. So continuing to drop down here on these. Just have not been the best investment if you got in and you're not really holding for the longer term and don't expect they're going to go up. It's the case across the board. It could be the case also, talking about OpenSea, that we're seeing NFT volumes go to other chains that might be cheaper, have lower fees than Ethereum. So that could very well be the case as well. Just wanted to show that. Anyway, you might be someone interested or have a stake in Ripple and what's going on with the case against the SEC that had sued Ripple for selling unregistered securities. And you might be pleased to hear that Coinbase is going to be trying to support Ripple here in their efforts against the SEC, as they filed with the federal court for permission as to be a friend of the court, amicus, in the lawsuit between the SEC and Ripple Labs. They're going to be joining Blockchain Association, according to CoinDesk here, an industry lobbyist group, Spend the Bits, a crypto payments app that uses XRP, and John Deaton, a lawyer, hoping to help SEC here. So they said that the SEC has not given fair rulemaking here to have given XRP a shot at all here. Given the absence of SEC rulemaking for the cryptocurrency industry, the question of whether the SEC has given fair notice before bringing an enforcement action against sales of one of the thousands of unique, apparently there are over 13,000 now cryptocurrencies, one of the thousands of unique digital assets, will often be highly fact intensive, which makes it particularly ill suited for adjudication on summary judgment. They've also argued that the SEC has been inconsistent with their enforcement approach, which creates uncertainty for companies in the sector. In addition, existing SEC registration requirements for national securities exchanges are currently unsuitable to the way digital asset platforms operate, because in the way that they exist in traditional finance, which is generally how the SEC has created their requirements for. Existing SEC requirements, however, only allow broker-dealers to be members of registered securities exchanges, meaning that retail customers can only trade assets on exchanges indirectly, right? You don't go straight to the New York Stock Exchange floor and start placing your bids there, right? No, you go through some sort of exchange, generally, a broker-dealer. Only existing SEC requirements, however, only allow broker-dealers to be members of registered securities exchanges, meaning that retail customers can only trade assets on exchanges indirectly by using the services of broker-dealers that charge transaction fees and add intermediation risks that could be avoided, and generally are avoided, on digital asset trading platforms, again, to the benefit of customers. So there are more intermediaries if you're trading traditional securities usually. Ripple and others have been the subject of extensive enforcement security, while others with nearly identical products or services have apparently been subject to none. So maybe they're going after Ripple because they know that the SEC knows that Ripple has deeper pockets with which to settle, with which to pay some sort of lawsuit, right? Much of the filing focuses on this argument, as well as maintaining the view that the regulator has not engaged in any rulemaking that would provide the regulatory clarity the companies want. And it also, what is this here? Oh yeah, and it also talks about how crypto are trying to be treated like traditional securities, but it's often not the case. Cryptocurrencies do not represent ownership stakes or pay dividends the way that shares might. Certainly that's the case with XRP here. So I think what's going on here is you have Coinbase, and some of their founders I know have invested, for example, in Ripple, at least privately. Coinbase is also trying to be there on the regulation front to help steer the narrative of crypto. And they are trying to defend against overburdensome regulation. They've joined like every single advocacy and lobbying group that I could imagine, and have had conversations in DC. So even though XRP is not listed on Coinbase, it's not too much of a surprise that they're getting involved with this fight to me. But yeah, from everything that I've seen, it looks like more and more this is going to be ruled in favor of Ripple and not necessarily the SEC. So sticking it to the man, yeah. Always love to see that. While I'm not an XRP holder myself, I think that the government is being at least the SEC is being way too heavy-handed here. And this is something that could set precedent for so many cases to come afterwards, right? Because if the SEC were to win, then they would be like, okay, well, in SEC versus Ripple, this happened. And so in the future, courts would generally sway in favor of the SEC if the SEC was to win here. So I think this is great, really, for the industry and freedom overall. And of course, good for the exchanges to list more and more of these assets rather than have them go to the black market, go to Uniswap, go to these decentralized exchanges, and they would benefit more off of the trading volumes and fees on their own platforms by being able to list the securities is my point. Anyway, I thought this was just a fun thread that you guys might want to be taking a look at here by Justin Bonds. I don't know. He was the one who did the thread recently on Solana talking about how it's gone down over 9 times this year alone, going into all sorts of reasons why you might want to be very careful with Solana. And Justin has been doing a lot of good research, I would say, recently to help inform folks. So he wrote out... He went through the top 50 cryptocurrencies and just gave a little blurb, basically summing them up. And I think this should be taken not at face value. I think it's more humorous than anything. And if you're offended, realize that almost every project has room to be offended based on what Justin wrote here. But let's read some of these. If you want to get the general gist of a token, We can look through some of these until we get bored. Let's take a look. The cryptocurrency top 50. BTC, the king is dead. BTC people ain't gonna like that one. ETH, long live the king. Ooh, we got an ETH fan here. USDT, Tether, trusted without trust. BNB, Binance token, Wild West. USDC, trust Brian. XRP, Federation without purpose. BUSD, trust CZ of Binance. Doge, started out as a joke, still a joke. ADA, Cardano, academic paced innovation. Ooh, calling it slow. So this is almost like a stand-up material here. Sol, Solana, Red Flag Central, Matic, please ignore the $4 billion founder multisig. Dot, not a layer zero. Shib, this joke is no longer funny. Die, trustless trust in Brian. TRX, no trust left in Justin Sun. Ow. Avax, more C-chain, please. Uni, more fees, please. WBTC, bigger than lightning. Ow. It's a burn. Then talking about total value locked, more than being used by the Lightning Network, which Edward Snowden was tweeting about today. And yesterday, what was it? You had like Jameson Lopp. I think he went out with Jimmy Song and someone else, and they went to have dinner, and they split dinner, a $500 dinner, 3 ways using Lightning Network on 3 different applications. And then it happened on the first try and really, really quickly. Actually, that's cool. That sounds like progress to me. Anyway, Leo, Bitfinex me once, not twice. Atom, also not a layer zero. Link, connections, LTC, BTC times 4. 4 times the amount of coins as Bitcoin. FTX, money makes the world go round. ETC, left behind. CRO, hustle hard. Anyway, so on and so forth. I did retweet it earlier if you want to continue to look through it. I think it's pretty funny. I enjoyed just sifting through it, but I won't waste more of your time. That's Justin Bonds, Justin _ Bonds on Twitter. And this was also making the rounds early this weekend. Sometimes we do look at economic data. This was posted by well, you can find this on the Federal Reserve of St. Louis website. That's Fred, and this was posted by Rick Baumstein on Twitter. The strength of the U.S. consumer simply cannot be overstated. And this is looking at the blue line, which is loans, consumer loans. So think like credit cards and other revolving debt in the blue. And in the red, we have the personal savings rate. So how much Americans are saving. And you can see that drop off of a cliff after a huge spike in 2020. This is around the COVID situation when that all began. So you have the recessions are basically the shaded area, but you basically have consumer debt loans taking off here in 2021 with no end in sight. That's continuing to put pressure on the average person. That's not even looking at inflation, while savings is just dropping and dropping. This is, I think, a huge problem. I think it's a massive problem and probably will result in continued pain for people and a reduced standard of living, of which hopefully we would have a better one. As we could see that the standard of living basically started falling off after 1971 when we got removed off of some sort of real monetary standard. By a lot of measures that I've looked at, it looked like things would perhaps be a lot better had we stayed a little bit more truthful, but it just has not been the case. And so this is it looks to me almost like endgame situations here for this fiat, which is, again, the best shirt out of the least dirty shirt compared to other fiats. But hopefully we can continue to adopt better models, and at least we're experimenting with them. When we're talking about 13,000 different cryptocurrencies that exist, this is monetary capitalism, and may the best one prove to be the best example to help people when the centralized versions just have not worked out very well. Central banks digital currencies. Isn't the one in India coming out I think tomorrow as well? We'll see how that one goes, but that is extremely troubling to me. So we still have time to innovate with decentralized digital currencies versus the centralized ones that are about to be put and pressured on top of us. So I don't know. Thank you all for joining me here and for being a part of it. I hope you took away some information today and got a general idea of how we're starting off the week. Again, I think Wednesday is going to be major because that's the end of the Federal Reserve meeting, and we're going to get more ideas about whether we're going to be getting hiking more aggressively or less aggressively, and that will be fuel for the markets around that point. So we'll see what other drama comes out, and I'm very excited to be here at the front lines of crypto with you guys. So take care. Hey, Paul, thank you for joining. Take care, everyone, and we'll finish with a quote of the day by Stephen King. Here we have it. Monsters are real. Ghosts are real too. They live inside us, and sometimes they win. Take care, much love, and stay cryptic. Peace.